Why do I think that libertarians, right libertarians to be specific, are fascists?
Because you can't actually refute the nap? Because you can't respond to it rationally? Because you're engaging in confession through projection?
Libertarianism has become an integral part of the Republican Party.
Since when? Oh, let me guess. Anyone who disagrees with you is all in the same category, right?
So there appears to be some definite connection between the far-right and right libertarianism.
Only in your deluded imagination.
When I say right-wing libertarian, I don't mean people who fit the definition of right-wing libertarian.
You don't say.
I mean people who identify as right-wing libertarian.
Even if you could show this, how is it any kind of refutation at all? How someone identifies has nothing to do with the reality of the situation or how defensible a particular position is. You titled your video, "Right Libertarians Are Just Fascists." And now, here you are, basically admitting you have nothing to back up that assertion with.
And so, do the following names sound familiar to you? Richard Spencer, Milo Yiannopoulos, Gavin McInnes, Tim Gionnet aka Baked Alaska, Stefan Molyneux, Ben Shapiro. All of these people are far-right demagogues.
And none of them are libertarians or even identify as libertarians like you claim. You just want them to be, because again, you have nothing you can use against us.
And so it seems to me that there is such a thing as the libertarian alt-right pipeline.
When there isn't, and I've debunked that several times before.
And why is that? Well, if you're a libertarian, allegedly, chances are you will be against programs such as affirmative action, state welfare, anti-discrimination legislation.
Because they're all forms of aggression that can't be defended ethically?
In general, it seems to me that far-righters and libertarians have an awful lot in common. And that's because they both believe in this thing called personal responsibility.
Would that were the case on the far right, but I'll take it for us libertarians. Now maybe you want to explain why that's a bad thing.
Individual responsibility means that we should solve big problems through small individual changes instead of systemic approaches. The system isn't broken, the individual people are.
There is no system. There is no society. There really isn't even any people. The only things there are individuals. Words like people, society, and systems are abstractions that are there to explain aggregate action. What happens when groups of people, either in an organized fashion or through the standalone effect, end up working for a common goal or result in certain trends? So the only thing that can be broken is individuals.
You know, if you have 10,000 black people living in a ghetto somewhere, the systemic solution to black poverty would be targeted social programs,
which don't work. The real solution, as we've seen over and over again, is to set them free to live, work, and form their own businesses. Those societal programs, as economists like Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams have shown, did in 10 years what Jim Crow couldn't do in 100. Destroy the black family and turn blacks from the most upwardly mobile group in America to ones mired in intergenerational poverty. Oh, and by the way, ghettos are the result of government housing projects, social programs of the left. So nice try.
He would roll up in his Bentley and tell those people to start a business or something, which is basically just the equivalent of hand-waving the issues of those people.
No, it is not. It's the only way that's been shown to work. And again, it's funny how you're pretending like it's the libertarians who are rich and privileged when the rich are much more likely to be socialist and the poor and working class are much more likely to be conservatives or libertarians. I'd love to hear just one of you morons explain why that's the case.
Like, yeah, whatever, just start a business or something.
Well, it's not that difficult. At least it wouldn't be without your holy government breathing down their necks, destroying their job opportunities with a eugenics program of minimum wage, destroying their communities with a fascist war on drugs, and inhibiting their business creation with the fascist eugenics programs of zoning, occupational licensing, and hideous overregulation.
And that's because if you subscribe to the idea of personal responsibility, then chances are you believe that the system we have currently is fine or mostly fine.
What are you talking about? I just listed several ways you fascist, eugenicist leftists have used aggression to make a system that inhibits the entrepreneurship and upward mobility of poor communities, which is by design, by the way, since the progressive movement came out of the eugenics movement.
Hey, would you look at that? Sounds like these right-wing libertarians really want to conserve the current system. So if the darkies get too uppity in Detroit that they're poor and they have no opportunities...
Detroit has been controlled by the progressive left for well over half a century. Imagine that.
Well, it's their problem. They're just lazy. They don't want to work.
Mr. Strawman, give me a break.
And if some soy-chugging cocked lefty points out that, hey, by the way, there's been systemic discrimination against black people...
We're not denying there's been systemic discrimination against black people. It's just being done by you leftists, which is why you're so desperate to blame everyone else.
Redlining policies...
Call it what it is. Zoning. A policy of the left.
Ramming highways through neighborhoods.
Another leftist policy.
You know, the disproportionate incarceration of black people for non-violent drug crimes.
Funny how libertarians are pretty much the only ones against the war on drugs. How are you gonna blame us for that?
Breaks up families and ruins communities.
Welfare state.
All of these concerns can be just hand-waved, dismissed with personal responsibility.
No, all of these are your fault, as we've shown over and over and over again.
How come all these black people seem to be unable to succeed in this meritocratic fair society created by white people?
Because it's not! It's a racist eugenics system created by you leftists!
Hey, would you look at that? From one of the biggest foundational principles of libertarianism, we have organically arrived at white nationalist talking points.
Oh, shut up.
And so, if you are a person with empathy and a good understanding of the world, you realize that currently, in certain areas of life, especially in America, systemic change is needed to bring about more happiness and better outcomes. And that requires state social policies.
And that's all you need to see that Adam something is just another leftist, racist, fascist liar. So thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, and go to donate.pagosity.tv to keep me doing what I do. And check out all the great content here, like this video selected just for you.